My next guest is a movie critic. He has helped shape the movie industry by just writing and talking about and reviewing about movies. He used to be somebody who not get Rasta, but right now he be Rastafari. My own soldier, Tony Asankomah. My brother, everything cool.
Everything cool. Everything cool.
I never ever in my life thought that you were ever gonna
do my hair like this.
Yes. What happened? What inspired make you do Rasta?
I feel like for me, almost at certain point in time in my life, I want to change the way I look. And then I think this is going about 2 or 3 years now when I just decided let me grow my hair and twist it out a bit. And I'm at a point where I'm beginning to think of the next thing to do. Either I keep it longer or I'll go back to a down cut but throughout my life I've had different I've done braids, I've done all kinds of haircuts. But at this point, this is the face I am.
I love variety myself. If you realize I did logs, I had round, I just changed it. I like to look different at every point in life. I like change. I don't.
People complain, but when women do it, no one says anything.
Oh, so you also had people complain about your hair?
People complain about it, but for me at this point, it's only two. Well, 3 women that matter in my life: my mom, my wife, and my daughter. And if they are okay, I'm good.
Why do you think people have the perception that Rasta people or people who have locks have some kind of bad attitude or they are, I don't know, nuisance in the society?
I believe it has to do with society and I mean the misconceptions that people have about persons who wear their hair in a certain way. But for me, should I say, unfortunately for me, the misconceptions were there even before I did my hair like this. I can count so many situations where out of my friends, I'll be the one the police will pick out and say and try to search me, even before I had my hair like this. So I'm sort of used to it. I think people should look beyond the color and try to understand people for who they really are. Fortunately, from the people that actually matter know who I am. So it's not.
Have you ever faced some profiling from the police because of your hair?
Yes, I have. I have. I have. But now I don't know for some reason. It's funny, but after I got married, they kind of reduced. I don't know why, but after I got married, for some reason, it's not like before.
Maybe you're always with wifey and the baby, so
even when I'm alone, it's not like before. Before, I mean, you get stopped by the police a lot of the time, and now I don't know whether it's the ring or I don't know. But yeah, I made an observation a while back, and I'm like, after I got married, it's really yeah.
Let's talk about what you do best and what you know best. Movies.
Yeah, movies.
I decided to become an actor. I've directed into producing, directing, and writing. How did you want to become an actor? You wanted to be behind the scenes and rather critique films and entertainment.
I think I wouldn't have succeeded as an actor because I'm a very reserved person. It takes a lot for me to even show up in public. So I feel like I would have struggled being an actor. But fortunately for me, growing up, my dad exposed me to a lot of films. He had a system in place where he would reward you with films. God rest his soul. He had the opportunity to travel because he was in the army. He served with the UN, and he had a very impressive collection of films. So what my dad did when we were kids was that if you are good this week, Friday or Saturday, you get to watch a new film. And when you are done with the film, the first thing he would ask is, what did you learn from the film? So even at that young age, I always had at the back of my mind that every film that I watch,
you have to learn something.
From it. And it grew into my love for film. It's always been something that I would do to escape reality. But somewhere along the line, 2014 exactly, I woke up one day and I was like, okay, I actually went to the cinema to watch a film. After the film, I was like, I have so many things to say about the film. I was like, okay, let me just start a blog. Let me start a blog where I can talk about the film. I did it. I didn't think anyone would read. Before I realized people were reading, then it became some sort of addiction came with it, some sort of satisfaction came with it. And when I'm saying people are reading, I'm not saying 10 read. Sometimes you go and check 12 people read, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm like, 12
People read?
and you look at the analytics, and there are people from different parts of the world. So I sort of got more excited about it, and I did more of it, and I started GH Horrific a few months later, ghhorrific.com, and fortunately for me, this year, August will be exactly 10 years.
Wow. You've done a decade in critiquing movies. What was your first movie ever that you said, let me put a pen on this?
So the first one would be Hercules, the one that starred Dwayne Johnson. Yes, that was in 2014. I saw it in a cinema the weekend it premiered, and that was about. Prior to that, every film that I watched, I always had an opinion about it. And I always maintain that films are not just made on the surface. There's always an underlying message.
Yeah.
And it takes only a few people to be able to capture that message and be able to speak on that message. And I think I'm blessed with that gift, because every film I watch, no matter what the film is about, I'm able to, unless maybe you just, even if you piece things together, I might be able to find a message to it and make meaning out of it. So it's always been like that. Right through primary school, I would always debate with people over films. Like, this film is nice, this film is, and unfortunately for me, my dad always had a good collection of films, all the classics you can think of. My dad was giving me the opportunity to see them. So yeah.
Hercules was your first ever that you critique. What about a Ghanaian movie? Which Ghanaian movie did you say this was the first time I did a critique on a Ghanaian
The
film?
very first Ghanaian movie would be, I think it was the Kobe Runner film. I think something he co-produced with Staffy Danko. I'm trying to remember the title, but I remember those two names behind the film. Yeah, I think it has something I love you, or something like that.
I've forgotten.
Yeah, but that would be the first Ghanaian film that actually puts pen to paper to review. Yeah.
Most times when people are reviewing movies, they seem to go towards the negative than the positive. It's more or less like lighting was bad, this was bad, that is all. And then it makes it like, oh, you're just criticizing too much. You don't even appreciate the aesthetic, anything about it. Did you in your career have like backlash that, hey, why are you criticizing my movie too much? Like you are giving negative comments?
Yeah, I particularly when I started reviewing Ghanaian films and focusing more on Ghanaian films, I did get a lot of backlash, because I felt like, even till now, I feel like the Ghanaian film industry doesn't understand the rules that critics play in the ecosystem of film. They don't, and it's better because I have some filmmakers that appreciate my work and are supportive of the work I do. But the backlash has always been more. And even to date, there are people that even when I review their film and I say something good about the film, they think it's not good enough. They would rather, for lack of a better way, kiss their ass in your review. But for me, I always try to find a balance, because I believe that our industry has been struggling for long, right? And I'll be doing the industry a disservice if I stop people from going to the cinema. And regardless of how you see it, as a critic, I have the power to stop people from going to the cinema.
Exactly.
If I watch a film and I come out and trash that film, trust me, there are people that read from my website and will not go
watch the film.
So I had to find a balance. I had to strike a balance, because I want the industry to grow. I want the producer to be able to make some money, go back on set, and possibly improve on the film I just watched. So in every film that I watch, particularly Ghanaian films, I try to look out for the good. And believe me, in some cases, it is difficult, right? But a good film could be just that one scene. It could just have one artist's performance. It could be the costuming, it could be
cinematography.
cinematography. So if I watch a film, I first start to identify the good things in the film before I go to the bad stuff. So when you read all of my reviews, there's a fine balance. It's a challenge. A lot of the time, some of the filmmakers forget about the good things I write and they focus on the bad things. But if I watch a film and I say your lead actor had a splendid performance, and I go on to trash your sound, or I think you should be happy about the lead actor's performance and ride on that to sell the film. But unfortunately, like I said, our people, most of them
You don't want to hear negative.
want to hear. They would rather you come and watch the film and then you base thinking or yes man and say everything is perfect. But you don't go an industry like that.
So far, do you have the number of films that you have reviewed?
That I actually checked. I think I've done in the Ghanaian film space. I think I've done over 100 Ghanaian films.
Whoa.
I've done over 100 Ghanaian films. I've done several stage productions too, because I do review films, feature films, short films, documentary films, and stage plays.
So you actually go to the National Theatre or wherever the stage play, and then you.
There's a stage play. I go to see the production and then I write a review on it. So I've done, for the Ghanaian film industry, I think I've done, if not close to 100 at this point. I've done over 100.
Is it like you go to the cinema, you go and pay and watch, or because you're a critic and some of the producers know you, when you go, they give you the free chance to go have a look?
I can tell you confidently that if I have, let's say if I have 100 reviews, I can tell you that I paid for 90 of those reviews.
Wow.
Yes, because I paid to buy tickets to 90 of those films. Because a lot of the time, I've had situations where, I built the website or the idea of GH Freak as the film review and promo website. So I don't just review films, I help promote films. So usually when I see a film that I'm interested in, I reach out to the production company and say, okay, I have this platform, let me help you promote your film. In exchange, give me tickets to come watch the film, and then I'll write a review about the film. Because it has to make some sense. And a lot of the time, I'll deal with some producers. We will have this conversation. Premiere night, you get there and you don't have tickets for you.
Whoa.
It's happened to me a lot of the time. So if you see me at any premiere, before I get it,
You get your money
I
already.
get my money already. And I wouldn't show up because it started happening quite early in this whole thing, that there are times I'll get to the premiere, and then whoever is handling publicity or whatever for the film is playing hide and seek with you. They will probably tell you, I have tickets for you. Get there and they're like, find your way and enter. You know how to reach here. And I learned that quite early. So if you see me at any premiere, I know I'm there to buy tickets. But if I'm fortunate enough and I get the tickets in advance, or I get there and the producer or whoever is handling says, oh, that's JH Freak, and they let me, cool. But I can tell you, out of the 100, that is if I have 100, I can confidently say from 90 of them I got tickets for myself.
Wow. You have been able to review over 100 Ghanaian movies. What would you say our problem is?
The problem there, I could list so many things with the industry itself.
First and foremost, let's talk about the movies before we jump onto the industry. You go watch the movie, you watch all the movies. What do you think our mistake, what do you think our problem is?
At this point, I would say our biggest problem, the biggest challenge, and anyone can quote me on this, with our Ghanaian films is our storytelling. Because I watch a lot of films, even as now beyond Ghana, I've seen films from, what country can you think of? I've seen, because I judge festivals. So I've seen
Kenya, Senegal.
countries that I didn't even expect to have a good enough film industry. I'm not going to mention countries so that it seems like I'm dying.
Oh no, I think that we should be able to mention countries so that they will be able to know that they're in the right direction. They're doing something right. And even if you have to go ahead and mention some of the films, so that at least the producers will know.
And this not discrediting them. Let's take Uganda for instance. I kid you not. Ugandans, in terms of storytelling, at this moment, if you put Ghanaian films and Ugandan films, in terms of storytelling, they will flog us.
Wow.
Yes. And I've seen enough Ugandan films to be able to make this statement. And I feel in terms of our film making, that is our biggest challenge together. And when I say storytelling, any filmmaker should understand, but for those who don't understand, every film has a story. It is a story that carries
Every other thing.
every other thing. It's a story that even determines what camera you even want to use, right? There's a story that will determine what kind of lighting you want to use. And I feel like we are struggling in that part because you watch a lot of our Ghanaian films, most of our Ghanaian films, you watch it and you're like, where is this story going to?
You don't know.
The production elements you take, sound, okay, good, camera, good, editing, good, color grading, good, costuming, good. But what is the story? Where is the story going? How is the story being conveyed? Where is the suspense? Where's the ingenuity? Where's the creativity? Where's the plot points that would keep someone seated? A good story should not, in the mind of the filmmaker, in the mind of the audience, should not end when the film ends. When I'm done watching the film, I should be sitting in my seat or my way and thinking about the film and say,
this guy, what you do no good.
I should feel like I want to know what is happening in that character's life beyond what I got to see in the cinema. And unfortunately, most of our films are not able to do that for me. So for our films, I'll say our biggest problem at the moment is storytelling.
Now on storytelling, I know that the Kumawood do a lot of good storytelling. Would you say it's because they speak the local language, they are able to understand what they're doing? Or would you say because sometimes we do our English part, so we are not able to really tell the story well? Because most times I've heard people talk about Kumawood films, it's about storytelling. They don't mind about the technicalities.
That's a valid point because they are able to, when you watch most of these Kumawood films, they are able to at least have an idea of the story to a point where you are invested in the characters, you are invested in the story, and the story being told. To the point that you want to see a garden for 15 minutes and you see that
Kumawood movies.
Get lost and you sit down for those 15 minutes before you realize, how much I was.
Too much.
And I think they do that well enough, but it's the embellishments that they add to it that makes that water down the storytelling. Because sometimes they get carried away, particularly because maybe they are looking at the situation where they are trying to drag the film out now so that they can get a part 1, 2, and 3, right? But storytelling, it could be a very simple situation, right? That you can either, I make this argument, there are two ways. You can tell a simple story in a complex way. You can tell a complex story
in a simple way.
And I feel like Kumawood for a very long time, what they were doing was telling a simple story
in a complex way.
In a complex and confusing way. Right? Because you watch the film a lot of the time, you guess where the story is going. You can even anticipate
what will happen
in the end. But they would confuse you, they would drag it, they would bring some random character from somewhere who doesn't add anything to the story. We could have done without in the story, and then before we realize we are in part 3. Right? That's the challenge with Kumawood. But I think as compared to what we call Bollywood, they are able to I think their story, but it would be better on their part as well, because I feel like, again, there's a lot more they can tell, right? There are some simple stories that they can tell. And when I say simple stories, I'm not even talking about the ones that have historical bearing on our communities or what. But a simple story about, think of anything.
Mechanic, about somebody, about a character, anything.
Driven story or a narrative-driven story. There's so much more that it could improve, and I'm looking forward to a future where you pay attention to some of these things. Okay,
so story is number one problem that we have as Ghanaian filmmakers.
Yes.
That is production. From your perspective, that's production. Now let's talk about general terms, industry terms. What do you think we're lacking? What do you think is the problem?
I think industry-wise, The one thing that we lack, that a lot of our filmmakers might disagree with me, is distribution. When you speak to most of our filmmakers, what they will lean to is funding. But the truth of the matter is, I've seen some of our filmmakers, even if you give them $1 million,
They're not going to do anything.
they're not going to do anything different. But at the end of the day, if I'm giving you $1 million, am I getting $1 million in change back? That is our biggest problem as an industry. We do not have proper distribution to enable investors get a return on their investments. And that's the challenge, because if a filmmaker is getting a return on their investment, they will be motivated to do more. Comparatively, Nigerians have figured the distribution thing out. They have more cinemas than us.
So you think that our problem is we need to get cinemas?
We need to get cinemas. Trust me, if there was a way for filmmakers to guarantee that there's a return on investment, trust me, anybody that has money sitting somewhere and investing in all kinds of businesses will look towards the film industry, because they know that if I put some $100,000 here, after 6 months, I'll get $150,000.
More.
Say I'm looking for 50% return on interest on my money. The rest goes to the producer, right? Or the rest goes to
whoever, yeah.
I just want 50% interest on my
investment.
My investment in a space of about 6 months. That's average period around for most Ghanaian film projects. That within 6 months from production to right. So if we had proper distribution in our space, it would be easier for people.
But you see, this is not the filmmakers' problem, because most of the churches that I keep saying, most of the cinemas, because when I was growing up, they had video centers in almost every community, if not 1, 2, 3. But all those video centers have been turned into churches and all of that. Would you say that is the filmmakers' problem?
It's not a filmmakers' problem. Well, actually, it is a filmmaker's problem, but you can argue that it's not the filmmaker's responsibility, right? Because the filmmaker's responsibility is to make the film, and it should be someone else's responsibility to make sure that the money comes out of the film. I was surprised when I found out years ago that Nartey, for instance, doesn't have a course on film business proper. I was surprised. I don't know if they do have it now, but some Nartey students don't share this with me. I don't know if they do have it now. I hope they do have it now, where they teach filmmakers how to actually make money out of their films. But again, like I said, it's not the filmmakers' responsibility, but it's their problem. And I think that is where the filmmakers or collectively have to start voicing up and calling on the powers that need distribution. Instead of always crying for funding, you need distribution.
It's true.
If government comes and starts giving out money to filmmakers,
we will still fail.
Exactly, because they know the filmmakers, you yourselves know that even if government gives me $1 million to shoot a film, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I will go and put that $1 million in the film and the money will just disappear.
Yeah. Let
me pocket some of the money, shoot whatever I can, shoot to the rest, and then whatever happens to the film, I don't care. And because of that mentality, it affects the film itself. You start cutting down on production costs, you start cutting down on even the quality of the storytelling, because maybe you need a very complex scene, but you are looking at your production budget and how much it would take
you to shoot that particular scene.
And you will say, okay, let me take that one out. But for all you know, that could be what actually sells a film, right? So yes, I think at this point, filmmakers should add their voice to that conversation about finding distribution outlets or fixing the distribution problem that we have. That I'm always speaking about, we need funding.
I agree with you on that, because we don't need funding if we don't know where we are going to end up. I usually say, if somebody lives in Kaswa or lives in Dowenya, and there's a movie and they have to show it at, are you telling me the person should come all the way from Pram or Dowenya at 8 p.m. to come and see a film, or at the National Theatre?
The film will end at 10 and then I have to do...
You know, transportation alone is more than the ticket. Exactly. You see, and that has become the problem. Recently, I covered Chichiku's film, his latest film, 1957, and I was asking them, like, you do the film, you organize the whole premiere, you make noise, and you just premiere it at one location, which is Kumasi. Then you come and gather another energy to come and do that in Kumasi. But in America and other places, if they release the film worldwide, even in Ghana, they still show it on the same day, on the same week.
Yeah. So they put in all the resources. When you look at the box office numbers for these Hollywood productions, you can even, isolate where the money is coming from and see if the film did well in America or did well in other markets. But we can't do that here. We have just, how many cinemas? We have just,
2, 3.
2, 3. And the way the business of filmmaking is, if the film doesn't, that's why a lot of our producers are looking more towards that opening night alone, where they put all their resources into making sure that they make money on the opening night and they are done at that one location. And at times, it doesn't always work in their favor. We've seen you and I have been to places where we show up and then the place is virtually empty. But if there was some, system in place where they know they are streaming on multiple venues on opening nights, I mean, I wouldn't mind, if it will take you 15 minutes or 10 minutes to go to the cinema from where I stay. And also, if you have more cinemas, ticket pricing will go down, right? And then the average Ghanaian is spending or paying maybe 20 cedis or 30 cedis to watch a film. Imagine the number of people that will go to cinema, the number of people that will be willing to even take their families out to the cinema, and how much that will translate to earnings for the filmmaker. Till date, I've been doing this for 10 years. I still have friends who have never been to the cinema before.
Wow.
Yes, because they feel like it's a luxury. They feel like
it's actually a luxury here in Ghana, because when you go to the cinema, you're paying 100 Ghana cedis for a film. If you're going with a date, popcorn and water.
Before you realize you're some 10 recipes.
It's gone. Minus transportation.
No come. So you can't, you probably, going to the cinema is now like you have to save towards it, right? And you can't blame you have monopoly, right? But in a system where there are more cinemas, prices will go down. Filmmakers will make more money because more people will go to the cinema.
You said it is the problem of the filmmaker, but it is not the filmmaker's responsibility. So then, whose responsibility does it become? Is it the government? Is it like the NFA, National Film Authority? Whose responsibility does it become for them to create such an avenue for filmmakers to be able to benefit? Because if there are a lot of cinemas, there are a lot of jobs.
That's true. I agree that, I mean, if you are looking at the tune of where we should start shifting the blame towards, I think more leans towards the National Film Authority, because they have become the reading or writing authority. That's sort of, it's supposed to control the filmmaking industry to some sense. So yes, they are the ones that are supposed to be advancing conversation around the creation of more cinemas. And I think they started doing that with, I think last year November, they had the Africa Cinema Summit that they put together. But that conversation doesn't lie just on the NFA. I feel like even though it's not a responsibility of filmmakers have the largest voice. Think about this. We have some of our filmmakers that command 7 million people
on Instagram alone, on social media. But they will never post about the issues, the actual issues that are being faced by the industry. They will never add their voices to the conversation. They will never, even for a second try to, bring attention to. Take this for instance, when COVID hits, I think out of Africa, we were the country that suffered the most cinema-wise because our cinemas were closed for the longest. Even when America or other parts of the world opened cinemas,
higher cases of COVID had opened their cinemas, our cinema was still closed in Ghana.
True.
And international people were quiet about it. No one was talking about it. No one even cared. How is the government going to care if you are not adding your voices to this conversation and relying and then you fall on the NFA? So the NFA will do what they believe is priority to them at the moment. But if you come hard at the NFA collectively as an industry and tell them, look, this is what we really want, they have no option but to listen. You understand? And that is where it comes back to the film industry or film industry stakeholders, and it becomes a responsibility for all of us to try and make it work. But at the end of the day, there's always supposed to be that segment of the industry that is thinking about the business side of it. Unfortunately, we do not have that. We do not have an average Ghanaian sitting down and thinking that, what do I want to enter into? I want to enter into film distribution. I'm not a film person, but I've seen the business behind
Film distribution.
film distribution and I want to enter the space. I've said this several times on record that whoever finds a solution to our distribution problem in Ghana, that person will be sorted for life.
Billionaire.
Yes, whoever finds a solution and wraps their head around it and finds a working solution to our distribution problem when it comes to film in Ghana, that person is.
Do you think just one person can solve this distribution problem? Because like we are talking about, you need cinemas across the country. If you go to the north, you need cinemas. You go to the east, you need cinemas. All over the country. Do you think one person can just solve these problems?
When I say one person, I'm speaking figuratively. It could be,
An organization.
Organization, it could be a group of people. But that's true. I think, you see, most of these solutions are not overnight fixes.
True.
It's not like one person can get up, or a group, or even an organization, or even the government can sit up and snap their fingers and that problem is solved.
True.
It will take efforts. It will take some intentional work. Because we have currently 16 regions in Ghana, right? Imagine in every regional capital there's a cinema.
I mean, just give us like 4 or 5 cinemas.
4 or 5 people in a region is too much. Let's say every regional capital has one cinema, right? That seats
1,500.
1,500 might be too much. Let's say it even seats 500 people at a go, right? 16 regions, right? If I'm a filmmaker and I know this is available, I will coordinate my screenings to happen in all 16 regions on opening nights. If it's 500 people a day, I know that if I do 2 showings, I can do 1,000 people in each region. 1,000 by
16,000 times 50 Ghana cedis. Or 100, now it's 100 Ghana cedis.
Because we are seeing more numbers, we are casting down the price. But of course, certain places might cost more than other places. So let's say on an average 70 cities, right? And we are able to do 2 showings on a evening night, on a Friday, 2 showings on a Saturday, 3 showings on a Sunday.
You're gone.
Making progress, you see. So I think it starts from somewhere. And unfortunately, the people that are supposed to add their voice to these conversations, they don't care.
True.
And these people are the industry people. These industry people will say, oh, the industry is failing, the industry is dying. But if you walk up to them and say, I'm paying you to star in my film, they will come and star in the film. They'll take your money. As to how you make money from the film, they don't care. Because for them, their work is done, right? But they are not considerate enough to think about the challenges of that investor, that producer, that executive producer, how they're going to get that money.
I was talking to Clemento Suarez the last time when I was at the National Theatre to cover 1957. And I was saying that, is it not sad that you'll be part of a film and then it's time for premiere? We all know you are not being paid for premiere and everything, but you will never show up to even support. And they will make it like it's the filmmaker's responsibility. I mean, he didn't pay me so why should I come?
Well, that argument, when I hear it from the film, from actors particularly, I feel like it's very amateur. It's immature. That's the word I want to use. Immature, it's childish. Because what is the point of you starring in a film if you are not interested in people seeing in the film? What is the point? Like, I don't get it. If you star in a film, it is like, if I was an actor, right? If I come on your set and I shoot a film and you go and put a film under your bed, I'll be worried.
Yeah.
Even though I've been paid, I'll be worried because I'm like, what have I done? Because I want people to see
what you are doing. That's the essence of you wanting to go on set and shoot though.
It's not just about the money because you get paid. There are several other ways you can make money. And let's not even kid ourselves. And a lot of the money that most of our actors make is because of their relevance, is because of their popularity. That's, you can always trace back to the films they star in, right? So if without the film, you were nobody essentially, nobody knew. So it's it is your responsibility, it is your moral responsibility to help promote the film.
True.
You can make an argument now and say, oh, I wasn't paid for promotion. But you need to understand the times we are in as an industry. You need to understand that the producer or the executive producer is facing that challenge. So let me also commit to help you promote the film.
Because in the longer run,
Benefits.
yes,
I will get seen by many people. And now,
it might even give you more contracts.
exactly. Now the producer is, executive producer is confident that the next time when I look for money to produce and I call on this person is going to help me promote the film. But you hear some of our people and they're like, I wasn't paid, it's not my contract. Even to share a flyer, to share a poster, be like, my work is done. It's up to you, figure it out. And it's sad.
One thing I realized about the Nigerians that even if they are not part of the films, they still post and help promote the films. But here, if they are not part of the film, they go talk say, oh, but I don't be part of the film. So
You go call your friends, so making friends promote that. I hear this conversation all the time. But it's a moral responsibility for all of us. When this industry works, it's not one person that benefits. You might not benefit now. I hear this argument a lot. You might not benefit now. Or maybe some 10, 20 years from now, your kids might also want to venture into this same industry. And be because of your sweat or your sacrifice, that would move the industry to a point where your kids might benefit.
true.
Most of our people don't see that way.
Let's talk about the National Film Authority. Juliet Asante has been the head for now. She's been running things. Do you think they have done a great job so far?
So far, I think they've been around for maybe 6 years. I could be wrong. First of all, anytime I get a chance to speak about the NFA, I say this because I want people to remember that I said this. That I said that the Ghanaian film industry wasn't ready for a national film authority. Before, yes, we forced. It's like Ghanaians usually have an attitude of we want system and structures in place. We always fight for system and structures. But when the system and structures are in place, we want to go against the system and structures. And I always maintain that the film industry wasn't ready, even though we needed the National Film Authority, we weren't ready for the NFA. And the NFA came in place. We fought for the NFA. The NFA came in place. And then some of us started fighting against the NFA. Because the National Film Authority's first job is to sanitize the film space.
And you think by changing the name?
That's conversation, even on record, I felt it was needless. It was a needless conversation. Again, because this is your show, I'm going to put it on record. I feel like anybody that's contributed to that conversation about finding a name for the industry is complicit in how disgraceful that whole thing was. And when I say contributed, if you sat in your room or you went on social media and say, they could have chosen this name instead, you are contributing to it. The moment that thing was announced, I said it wasn't needed.
I also spoke about it.
My people asked, what do you think is a need? What should I think
It don't need it. It wouldn't help solve anything at all.
so anybody that said finally they settled on Black Star Films. Anybody that's
They changed. No,
I'm saying
yeah.
settled on Black Star Films. But anybody that added their voice to their conversation and said, Black Star Films is not, they should have settled on this. You contributed to the conversation.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
Yeah.
You should have said we don't need a name
Yeah, at all.
at all, but you contributed to that conversation. And that was in a way, I mean, I've engaged the NFA to try and understand what they were trying to do at that point. And even though I understood what we were doing, I still felt it wasn't necessary because it was going to bring confusion in our space. And rightfully so, it happened. Fortunately for us, it was scrapped. But time and effort went into that. Resources went into that. And I feel like those resources or time and effort was wasted, right? But at the end of the day, the NFA in itself, they are doing things that I believe are for the good of the industry. My biggest problem I've had with the NFA, and I always maintain, is their inability to you know, be involved in carrying their message to the grassroots, right? Every now and then you see the NFA doing something, but the average Ghanaian or the average filmmaker does not really understand what they are doing.
Sometimes it's not even involved.
They don't get involved, inclusivity, right? And that, for me, is the NFA's biggest problem, in my opinion. And I've maintained that, you know, they have to have an approach where instead of just, I'll come to an example of something they are doing recently. Instead of them, like, you know, putting something out and say, we are doing this, what efforts have been put in place to make sure that low-level filmmaker understands what you are trying to achieve? Okay. So dates. I think for one, the Cinema Summit, for instance, is a brilliant idea. But to date, some Ghanaian filmmakers who have been around the system for years don't even know about it.
True.
Not that some who even know about it don't even understand why we need to have a summit, why we need to have people talking about establishing cinemas in Ghana. People don't even understand it. People are like, we need money, right? Then they failed to some extent at getting people to understand that. Recently, I think a couple of days ago, they've announced a call for scripts that have to do with financing. I don't know if you've seen that article.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this sounds like a brilliant idea. Beyond the Facebook and Instagram posts I've seen, what other engagements has the NFA done to make sure that people understand why we are doing this? They are calling for scripts that have the character financing. And there's a cash prize to the winning script. I think there's a first, second, and third place cash prize. But what really is the motive behind this?
I think the NFA itself is embarking on doing projects like that, because when I went to that meeting, yes, I realized the NFA itself wants to also embark on a project like that, which is that a core mandate of the NFA?
Even if it's not a core mandate, right? When you feel like doing something like this, once, whatever reason, I don't know whatever reason behind, but I mean, if you think about it on the surface alone, that the Anansi character is iconic when it comes to Afro and everything. Maybe there's an agenda to have, like, you know, projects that carries that Anansi character and becomes a global.
Yes, they said it at the meeting.
We've seen Hollywood attempts, we've seen Hollywood series that mention or reference Anansi. But imagine there's a Ghanaian film where this character comes from that is big enough to attract global attention. Even if that is the agenda of the NFA, particularly in regard to this, how has the NFA worked in making sure that the average filmmaker understands this and throws their weight behind it? Instead of us just seeing posts on social media about this, I think by now, the NFA should be even on radio talking about this. They should be on TV.
Everywhere.
They should be on platforms like this. They should be engaging people like me to talk about this and get the average filmmaker to understand why they are doing this. Another thing that I felt was also a brilliant idea, but again, they dropped the ball, was a pitch series they had.
Yeah.
Where they decided to put the simple idea behind that pitch series was NFA notices that there's a conversation about lack of investment. And from the investors' point of view, investors are saying that when your filmmakers approach us, they are not able to pitch well. They are not able to get us to understand why we should invest
in their
movies. So the NFA says, okay, let's put filmmakers on one side. Let's put investors on one side. Let's first of all, give the filmmakers the opportunity to learn how to pitch properly.
Yeah.
And then now create a platform where we put filmmakers and
investors together.
And then they pitch. Isn't this a brilliant idea?
Super brilliant.
But what did you see happen? You see where I'm going with this? So I think the real challenge now is for the NFA to be a bit more proactive in making sure that whatever project that they touch is communicated well to the average filmmaker.
You see, it looks like as an industry, we don't have like a common vision. It's like if Tony comes and becomes the president, he decides what he wants to do. If Eddie comes, he decides what he wants to do. So there's always brilliant ideas, but the core vision, the core thing that we are supposed to do, we leave it out.
But then again, in every situation, every society, in every grouping, there has to be that one person that is the leader. And a lot of the time, it is the leader that has a vision that we need to follow. It's just like the president of our country. When the president decides should be the vision for Ghana is what we would have to
Follow,
right? And it is the responsibility of that leader to make sure that we understand that vision. So that even when we don't agree with that vision, we tend to have some belief in that vision that it is taking us somewhere. And I believe that is a real challenge for the NFA. But here's the case. They are having a challenge with that. Also, the industry that is supposed to support them is also on the other side fighting against them. You see, a lot has been said about the executive secretary for the NFA, which is Madam Juliet. That's Asante. And people, when you listen to some of these conversations, it gets to a point where people start to attack your personality. And I'm like, okay, cool. Attack your personality. But are you holding her accountable for what she's supposed to do? Because you can attack her, but if you are not questioning her on
what she's supposed to do,
it won't go anywhere. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you say she's this, she's that, she's this, she's that, the funniest arguments I heard was when they said she had a film festival called the Black Star International Film Festival. So she kind of decided to
change the invitation.
If you rather focus on questioning her and the NFA as to why they need to change them, they need to be a name for the film industry. That would benefit us than questioning her about why she wants to change it to the Black Star International. You get what I'm going with this?
No, I don't get it.
So people are saying that she deliberately
did that.
But I'm saying that instead of focusing on if she deliberately did that, focus on if there is a need for us
to even have it at all.
You get what I'm going?
I get what you're going now.
Yes. Yeah. Because when you focus on that, you are focusing on her.
Yes.
When you should be,
it means that you are not agreeing with what she's saying, but if another name comes, you agree, which is not even the problem.
You get what I'm saying?
I get you.
That's why I always maintain anybody that added their voice to that conversation includes a name is complicit in how embarrassing this situation was. Because it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
To a point that the ministry had to step in and say, look, all that you did,
rubbish.
It's out. We've called this thing off. And there was a whole show about it. There was a time and effort that was great. There was even the announcement itself.
Yeah, people were, they called people, some big people to go sit about and talk about.
That aside, again, several projects that the NFA is paying attention to. Key thing that people are always should be concerned about is the airline, the legislative instruments that is supposed to, constitutionalize,
shape the industry.
Those things, sometimes people are not even concerned about it. People are not even speaking about it. But if the NFA is supposed to prosecute people for doing things against the industry and there's no law to back them, how do they work?
Yeah.
But people are not concerned about that. You see, so I don't know how this whole thing is going to turn out for the NFA because, if you should have a change in government, I don't know if they are going to be replaced. I don't know how it can be. But it might end up being one of those situations where,
if there's a change of government, then it will just fade out.
Exactly.
I think one of the things that they're also doing that I also loved was the cinema week, the Ghana Cinema Week, where they will take filmmakers content and then show it across. But it still comes back to the same thing we were talking about. Where?
And even with the Cinema Week, how many people understand the idea behind the cinema week and are willing to support it? When I say people, forget about the average audience. Even industry people don't understand it.
Always the industry people.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because there's the industry people that need to make these things work and then be willing to attend. It's sad when you go to industry events and you don't see industry people there.
True.
And I know that for a fact because I had an industry event. I have GH Movie that I put together. I invited industry people and they didn't show up.
Why do you think it happens like that?
Because they don't care. You see, industry people, I said this in the beginning at some point, that there are industry people that command 7 million Instagram followers or whatever, but do not add their voices to industry conversation. So what do they care about a summit, or what do they care about even a town hall meeting where industry conversations are being had? What do they even care about film festivals? But when you go to several countries, film festivals contribute to the growth of the industry. You get what I'm saying? Because film festivals not only support upcoming filmmakers, they bring in
a lot more problem, a lot more issues. Yeah. Yes.
But I was at several years ago. I was at a Black Star International Film Festival edition. I forgot which year. I spoke to somebody, and the person was a distributor, and I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm looking for filmmakers to
just this is a distributor.
This is a distributor, and I can't find anybody.
Wow.
I'm looking around. I'm looking for someone to hold their hand and say, "Oh, this guy is a distributor. Talk to him about a film." And I can't find a filmmaker there.
Wow.
You get the arguments. When I did GH with on the last edition, 2021, the focus was having a conversation about film here. How do you properly
promote
your film? Industry people were not interested in having that conversation. They didn't show up for that conversation. But when you have a film, you need PR to be able to sell the film. PR goes beyond having some controversial something, put it to them. They don't want to have those conversations. They don't care. If you invite them to them, they have some money for you, come and start my film, they'll show up. So you see, the problem is we are let me put it this way, industry people are the problem.
The industry people.
Forget about distribution, forget about finance, they are the problem because they don't show up. And it's sad. You go to a film event, a film festival, and you go to a film festival, AIF, for instance, Accra International Film Festival. Do you know the number of filmmakers that fly in from other countries to attend Accra Indie Film Festival here in Accra?
I was a jury on it and I watched brilliant films and I'm like, wow. Tony, let's talk about awards. It looks like our efforts as actors and creatives are going in vain in terms of awards, in the sense that we used to have Ghana Movie Awards, Golden Movie Awards, other forms of awards that, honors actors, producers, filmmakers in general. But right now, if you put your eye across, you don't see any relevant award scheme. Ghana Movie Awards, I don't know the last time they organized it. Golden Movie Awards, Mimi came out to say that due to lack of sponsorship, she's withdrawn, which I think she was doing so well. What do you have to say about this difficulty that we are facing?
It's disappointing. It's sad that as an industry, we don't have that one night or that one event that sort of sums up the industry in a year. Think about the beauty of it. Think about let's do a comparison, not even with anything, even within Ghana. Let's do a comparison about the Ghana Music Awards, which is coming up soon. You see the energy around it.
Yeah.
You see how competitive it feels.
Yeah.
You see the conversation of radio and TV.
It generates
to the point that there are certain songs you don't even know about till it gets to award season.
And you have to go search for it because...
And those songs become popular, even if they don't win an award. Even when You don't know that artist. And then now, before you realize, the next 2 years, that artist becomes your favorite. You see that energy that enters the music scene because of awards. You should have that for our film industry. But the sad part is, again, it falls back on industry people, right? And the way they approached the previous award schemes and not holding them accountable. A very typical example is the Ghana Movie Awards. For years, Ghana Movie Awards cannot even give plaque.
My plaque now comes still low.
People have won award for 7 years.
And then they don't have
Plaque. They don't have it. The national will acquire some of this. And then the following year, they will go and support these things.
because they are afraid that maybe when you go and talk about it, then they will sideline you. They will.
But if without the industry people, without the film industry, without people submitting their films to the award, that whoever is organizing the award cannot hold the awards, right? He can't work in a vacuum. He needs you to work. In many ways, you are the ones supposed to keep him on his toes. But actually, on the toes, you know who's behind the Ghana Movie Awards in particular.
Of course, Predoma is the one that's behind the Ghana Movie Awards.
I mean, you can go back and say, sold a franchise to somebody and they give it and we are this point. But at the end of the day, it's his friend that is behind. Who gives speaks for the Ghana Movie Awards? It is a bad thing that we do not. Is at this point, if I'm a filmmaker, if I'm a new filmmaker and I decide that I want to make a film to win Ghana Movie Awards, I do not even know the criteria or requirements. You understand? I do not even know the kind of film I need to make to be able to qualify or win a certain award. And it's because everything has been done poorly over years. This problem has gone on to the point that at this point, it's not even attractive for investors to put money into it. And that's how come the award seems to struggle. Because if I own an awards scheme franchise and I can't do the work, I would employ people to help me make the work easier. You need money to run it, but where do you get the money from?
Sponsorship.
Sponsors. You make it attractive to a point where that industry people show up. Imagine a night where every A-lister in Ghana is willing to be
there
because they are expecting to win something. Imagine how competitive it will be. Imagine how encouraging it will be for a filmmaker when they are going on set and their target is that I want to win best cinematography at Ghana Movie Awards. Forget everything. My target is best cinematography. Imagine how motivated that filmmaker. People say we don't do these things to award. Who are you kidding? Everybody seeks some form of validation for what they do.
Yeah.
And if the award scheme is going to be that validation for you, are motivated to do more. Forget about money, because money is also part of it. But at the end of the day, we can make an argument that on the music side, people have won awards in music and it has changed their fortunes.
Yeah.
It's opened ambassadorial deals for them.
Yeah.
It has given them
different platforms to explore.
We cannot rule out the importance of the movie awards for our industry. But the least thing you can do, even to give plaques, you can't do. So assuming for years I don't have sponsors, right? And I decide to do I'm Fred, right? For years I don't have sponsors. I'm struggling with financing my awards. And I want to keep the thing going. The
least is to provide plaques. Yes.
Even if my production budget and whatever money, maybe I've gotten some small money from, even if it's my own pocket money, I want to sustain this. The least I should be able to do is provide plans. How much do these things cost? But this is what the filmmaker will take, have pride in, cherish it, flaunt it, and wants to encourage the next filmmaker to also go for it.
True.
Because the value of the award is not the plaque.
No.
But what
it comes with, the aura that it comes with, the recognition that it comes with. Yeah.
If you look at the Academy Awards, which is the Oscars, nobody brings the Oscar and says, I'm going to sell it for money.
Yeah.
But
the next minute your rate goes up.
Exactly. It goes up.
Yeah.
You are now a leading man. If you won best supporting actor, now people are confident enough to cast you for leading roles.
Yeah.
You know, and it enhances the business around the filmmaking ecosystem because now you know that I need to cast the right people. I need to be in Oscar contention. I need to be, but Fred and Super now for 7 years. I'm sure it's past 7 years now. People have no plan. This one that people were put in their house. Or probably you've seen it on the music side. People do that once and you go and call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go to copy,
People go to churches for them to pray. They to pray for them, and they should.
they go to copy institutions. They look. We heard stories about musicians being awarded going to embassies with their awards just so they can get a visa. And you see what that does for them. And we are saying Ghana movie awards come with bad plans. Why would anybody take us serious? Why would any investor be motivated? Why would even the filmmaker be motivated?
It's true.
You see, and then we go around. I think at this point, you know, so if you are tired, sell the franchise. If you can't do it anymore, put together a consultant, put together people, challenge them to. I want to see some change. I want to see some reform. Get a marketing team in place. Get a PR team.
You don't think he had all that?
I don't think he had. Because if he had, we wouldn't be here. If he had, and for a very long time, there was nobody on radio speaking on behalf of.
If it is not Fred, then nobody can talk on behalf of Ghana movie industry.
Sometimes when you even listen to him speak, it's not if I'm sitting back and I'm an investor, I'm not encouraged to invest in this. Everybody in their forte, right? What they are good at. That's why companies, the CEO would have the PR, someone who
Communicator, somebody that
the chief executive officer might understand the vision of the business, but he might not be the best person to communicate it. So you hire somebody to do the communication. Who was speaking for Ghana Movie Awards?
Fred.
I can't think of one person that at any point in time, and I'm hitting on Ghana Movie Awards because it should be the biggest. Golden Movie Awards came to support, but at the end of the day, you are the one holding the name Ghana. Right? At this point, if anybody will start a new award scheme,
it's not going to hold like Ghana Movie Awards is.
If anybody starts, they are fighting against themselves and fighting against your scheme, which has already, for lack of a better word, has collapsed. But you are the one that, see, virtue at this point, you should sell the franchise. I'm sure there are people who have interest in buying it, but maybe he might overprice it, and it might not look, worth the investments for other people. But I strongly believe that there are organizations or companies that will be willing to buy the Ghana Movie Awards franchise, package it properly, and investing.
But you see, I don't understand what the problem is. I don't know whether it's investment or sponsorship problem, because Ghana Movie Awards is one platform that Fred gets almost every other celebrity. The A-list are always there, even if they don't get their plaques.
You see, that's true. And this conversation about having about the Ghana Movie Awards is not a conversation about last 2 years or last 3 years. This is a conversation that has been going on
for a long time, yes.
The thing was crumbling.
True.
And nothing was done to salvage it. Nothing was done to fix it. Even communication is bad. To a point where, like I said, I don't even know what if today someone comes to tell me they won Best Picture at the Ghana Movie Awards last year or last 2 years or even last 10 years. I don't know what Ghana Movies Awards criteria for Best Picture is. I'm just going to assume that Best Picture is Best Picture, but I might go and watch the film and it might not meet the international standards of what Best Picture is. It's this little thing so. And corporate is not done. The corporate institutions, they know where to put their money. No corporate institution is because they are supposed to see CSR, which is corporate responsibility. They are not just going to dole out money to anybody just because they have the money to dole out. It must make sense.
True.
There must be something. You think for a very long time when Vodafone was sponsoring the Ghana movie awards, you think they were not making anything out of it? There was some brand equity they were getting that encouraged them to support it every year. To the point that even when they sold the company, the new company is willing to still hold on and invest in our scheme.
With Mimi, who did Golden Movie Awards, she was doing fantastic. She was doing so well. The organization was so good. The way they went about things, but still, the corporate world didn't support. What is the problem?
The problem again falls on us national people. This is my problem with Golden Movie Awards, and I criticized them years back after they held their awards, right? The awards was held the following morning. I went on the internet to find award winners. I couldn't find a single publication telling us.
These are the people. Yeah, it's true.
But we were posting pictures of red carpets, dresses. It's not a fashion night. You get what I'm saying?
It's misplaced priority.
So you on the surface you see that awards still doing well. I think it's doing well, but the core of it is film. The conversation at the end of every movie award, the conversation people should want to go and see which film won Best Picture. If I haven't seen it and I hear that Edinafin won Best Actor, I should be eager to want to see the film as to why he won Best Actor. And then the conversation will lead back to even where are the cinemas for me to go and see that film again. You see, so the problem is like, when you think about it, it's like we are just chasing our tail in circles.
Don't you think the media also fails us sometimes? Because if it is the Ghana music industry, like you're saying, the moment they finish, you know who won this, who won that, because they publicize it. But when it comes to the film industry, like, I'm watching a movie.
Because again, the music industry, to a large extent, has found ways to engage the media. They force the media to have conversations about music. You see, even if it's controversy, think about this. Anytime there's a conversation about an actor and a film industry person, it's something controversial. Then they are really in a conversation about
that's their talent, what they are doing. It's true.
But the music people, they figured it out thing. And even the music awards, the Charterhouse, for instance, they made conscious efforts to engage certain media outlets, force upon them to have conversation about Ghana music awards. They were engaging to a point that they paid bloggers to speak about the awards. They have a dedicated budget to make sure that I can tell you this. It might sound embarrassing, but I've never been to Golden Movie Awards before. I even applied for accreditation. The last time I decided to, I wasn't given accreditation because who am I?
Wow.
Yes. But who am I? You get what I'm saying?
But you are a guru, you're a movie critic, and your words and everything will really promote them.
So that should tell you are failing us at that part of it. You get what I'm saying?
It looks like the concentration goes on red carpet.
That is it. Because so I'm like, okay, then let's just have. I feel like at this point, anybody this is free key advice I put out. Anybody that would put together a Met Gala sort of event, a fashion event targeted at the celebrities, they will show up. They will come.
In their numbers.
Hire and come. Look at what we see now. Every time when you Google what's news, we don't know who won what. It is even difficult for the PR mechanism behind the award scheme to put together the list of award winners. Targets, I'm not saying come to me, maybe you don't care about me, but targeting certain media outlets. If you have to pay them. You understand? Publish it. Let's see snippets of the films. You get what I'm saying? Like, be creative about it. This film was won Best Picture. Cast,
Small something for us. Let's have a feel.
let's say, brand on social media. This person won Best Actor. Cast a scene from the film that is moving enough. Let it run on social media. Let people see it. Let people appreciate why that person won Best Actor and be encouraged to go and see the film. These are little things. Corporate sees those things. Imagine, you do something like that, and your that claim alone, your sponsor logo is on that claim.
Yeah. That goes a long way to help.
You see, and all these things, again, like I said from the beginning, are not overnight fixes. It's not tomorrow that someone will buy the Ghana Movie Awards and fix it overnight. It will take efforts. It will take being intentional. It will take a lot of collaboration. It will take a lot of energy to make this work. But if you don't start now,
Not going to be too late. Tony, thank you for coming. But before you leave, what would you think would be one advice you sitting back of all these years that you have experienced the industry, not just for actors, but for the industry?
I think what we really need as my advice to the industry is we have to be intentional. We have to be particular about the things we do. Even as individuals, we need to, have some intentionality behind everything that we do concerning the film industry. If you have a film project, be intentional about promoting it. Don't just rely and think because I'm so person, yeah, I'm supposed to hop onto it. Knock on their doors. Leverage your popularity. It's sad that sometimes a filmmaker will have a film until the media is not talking about it. But have you built to them?
Have you even asked them? Have you contacted someone? Yeah.
Are you going to? Do you have a production? Do you have a marketing and promotional budget that should push that conversation? I think that intentionality will also fall back on the industry as a whole. That whoever is in charge, that is being, let's say, in our case, the NFA, and then falling back on ammunition, has to be intentional about some of these things. There's so much that we can do. And these things are little things, but it will take us being intentional. It will take us being like committed to it and not giving it a chance. No Hollywood investor is just going to fall land in Ghana and say, I'm investing in film in Ghana. It will take luck, maybe 1 in a million opportunity. But if you are intentional, if you are thoughtful, if you are particular about how you package the industry, then attract these investors, it will work. If you are intentional about how we promote our films, it might work. If you are intentional about how we even go and produce our films or even write our scripts, it might work. So I think that would be my advice of industry people. I know they will not listen to me because this guy, what does he know?
No, but you're speaking facts. You're really speaking facts. And
someone watch this and be like, what is this guy saying? The truth. Someone will say it. But I'm someone that believes in the industry.
Yeah.
Right? Because if filmmakers are making money, I'll make money.
True.
So why would I collapse? Because someone actually said I'm part of the reason why the industry is collapsing.
Why?
Just because they wanted to promote their film, and I was like, let's have a business conversation, right? But if you make money, the filmmaker makes money, I make money. You engage my services, right? If you make money from your film, next time when you're going on set, you need to pay your more. You understand?
Yeah.
But our people don't see it that way. We have to be intentional. Our also benefits, right? So yeah, let's be intentional.
Thank you so much, Tony, for coming. And let's be intentional in the way we move, because we can't collapse this industry. It's a multi-million-dollar industry. And for all you know, in other parts of the world, it is film that makes us even recognize those countries as what they are now. My name is Nartey. This has been Unscripted, and I'll see you next time. My guy, bless all. Bless all.